you receive instructions in the dressing room. I expect a good, clean fight. Protect yourselves at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Touch them up.
So round one now underway. Davelle Smith and Antonio Todd, super middleweight action. Just about made at a catch weight above the middleweight limit, where we have commonly been seeing Davelle Smith, one of the fixtures here on Big Time Boxing USA, as he lands a picture-perfect right hand. And Al, as we tend to hear whenever you get a tall, lanky fighter from the state of Michigan, Davelle Smith has drawn Tommy Hearns comparisons, which obviously could be a little bit burdensome, but he admits that Hearns is a man who he extracts a lot from stylistically.
Yeah, I mean, he's a legend there, and for any fighter that is of that proportion, as you say, those comparisons are going to come. He does have a very good jab, a good straight right hand, much like Tommy Hearns. He was tested in his last fight against William Townsend in a big way and had to come back in that fight to win a decision. So we'll see how he does tonight against a tough veteran in Todd.
Antonio Todd now with a record of 17-12. You've seen him here on DAZN in the past on the Shields Cornejo undercard. That was back in 2023. Took on Joseph Hicks and took him the distance. But Raul Todd, in that era of his career where the losses are starting to pile up and also the stoppage losses are starting to creep in, 2 in a row now for Antonio Todd.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's obviously, he's an opponent, you know, but he's an opponent that's going to test you in different ways. You know, that's why he's fought different bigger name fighters or experienced fighters, and I think this is a good test for Davelle Smith. I think Davelle Smith, you know, we've been watching him. He's been maturing here on Big Time Boxing USA, and I think he's learning. You know, I see he's more relaxed in there. He's more tighter with his defense, and I think he keeps improving every fight, Corey.
Well, Davelle Smith had a terrific fight last time out, and really the first stern test of his pro career against William Townsend, an 8-round majority decision last time out. And Al, that's the kind of fight that prospects like Davelle Smith, oftentimes they need that kind of fight in order to hit the next level.
Yeah, that was, ironically, that was a bigger test in a way than tonight, although Todd has had his moments as a journeyman fighter. But, and Todd, you know, he's getting some little sneaky right hands in early. We'll see if he can continue to do that.
Good inside work there from Todd a moment ago. A quiet, composed round for Davelle Smith as we head back to the stools. It's round 2 now underway. This one's scheduled for 8. Davelle Smith and Antonio Todd here from the Turning Stone Resort and Casino Hall of Fame weekend. Just one highway exit away, the hometown of boxing. Nice left hand to the body there on the inside from Davelle Smith. It was Antonio Todd who had a little success on the inside in the opening round. And Todd is one of those guys who really has learned the sport on the job. And in fact, in the very beginning, Todd has talked about how he didn't understand, Raul, how the process of boxing worked in the amateurs. He thought that you could just show up at a boxing event and ask someone to fight, and that's how it worked. And after a couple of times of showing up at events, he met his coach, Lionel Harris, who asked him, hey, do you have a coach or anyone to wrap your hands? And he said, no, I don't know how this works. And that relationship began.
Yeah, that just shows you what kind of fighter he is. He just wanted to fight. He likes the boxing game. And it's funny you tell me that because, you know, obviously I own a boxing gym. You know how many guys called me, they're in their 30s and said, I want to box. I want to fight in the super featherweight division. I want to fight in the middleweight division. Well, how many fights do you have? I have no fights. Well, you got to fight amateur first. Let's get some amateur fights, then turn pro. But yeah, I mean, he's a warrior. You know, he loves boxing, and you know, so far he's given Davelle Smith a pretty good test. It's only the second round, but he's doing what he's supposed to do in there.
That was Todd's version of karaoke boxing. You show up, you get to sing and/or box.
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. I hear there's some good karaoke here in the Turning Stone after the fight.
Oh, rumor has it.
See if we can make it before the shuttle at midnight. Nice right hand again there from Davelle Smith.
Yeah, so far in this round, I see Davelle Smith really controlling the pace of the fight with his jab and his straight shots down the middle. And also, like, you know, he did some pretty good inside work at the beginning of the round. Some good body shots. He's becoming an all-around type of fighter. He's really learning and developing, and they're talking about Davelle Smith.
I think he wanted to come out here and be really good offensively because there were portions of the Townsville fight where he had a lot of problems, and he closed it well enough to win that fight. But I think he wanted to put a stamp on this event this evening, and mostly he's doing that, although Todd is certainly fighting back.
A terrific right hand again there from Davelle Smith, just altering the trajectory of that one. Two wicked left hooks as well. That one to the body.
Yeah, good body shots by Davelle Smith. And I like the way he's trying to bait him in. He's backing up with the jab, and he's moving back with the jab. And then he lands his counter right hand like he did, Corey. That was a good power shot.
Final 10 seconds of round two. Davelle Smith starting to sit down on those power shots as we come to the end of the round. Round three begins. See if Davelle Smith can build upon the momentum that started to roll in his direction in round two.
Yeah, I think in that round number two, you know, he had a good body attack. He sees that Antonio Todd takes a pretty good shot. You know, he landed a good right hand in the last round, and Todd took it pretty well. So you gotta work the body now, break the body. And that's exactly what he did in the last round.
We mentioned the recent stoppage losses that Antonio Todd has suffered last time out, the 9th round at the hands of Jaquan Carty, and then there was the 1st round knockout at the hands of Saturine Akhmedov, a spectacular amateur who got him out of there in the opening round. But it's taken a long while, Al, for Antonio Todd to reach this stage. This is a guy who scored a terrific upset win over Hugo Centeno, gave Nate Gallimore hell in a fight not that long ago. So Antonio Todd has been taking these tough assignments, and at some point, that hourglass begins to run out.
Yeah, exactly. The Centeno fight was back in 2022, and here he is still battling against a fresh, top young fighter. And Smith's having some success here with those big power punches.
His uppercut there a moment ago, and he follows it up with a chopping right hand.
Yeah, Davelle Smith really, I love the way he's changing the direction of his combinations. He throws a nice 1-2 down the middle, then he goes to the body, then he comes up stairs again. We're talking about that uppercut. He's being creative with his combinations. He's being different.
You know, Todd is working there on the inside. He has a really good jab, and when he throws it consistently, even against the better fighters, when you look at his fights, he does better, but he just kind of keeps that punch in mothball sometimes.
Smith looking for that chopping right hand once again.
Yeah, Davelle's trying to set him up. You know, he's moves to the right, moves to the left, he jabs. He's trying to capitalize on his mistakes. He tries to blind him with the jab. Watch that right hand. It's coming. He's trying to land that right hand like a straight right hand. There he switches lefty now.
Yeah,
He
Raul,
changes it up, man.
Well,
That's good.
And you can speak to this, Raul.
Yes.
With the way that Smith throws his punches, just laser sharp and right down the middle, it forces Todd to keep his hands at home. It forces him to be defensively honest, and it's opening up other routes like that uppercut.
Yeah, that's exactly why he's got to be creative like he was right now. He went downstairs, upstairs, and back downstairs, and that's why he was able to catch Todd with those combinations. Solid shots by Davelle Smith.
Closing moments here of round 3. Big right hand right at the bell there from Davelle Smith.
This is Davelle Smith landing that very nice left hook against Todd. It was kind of in between switching.
Back to action here. Davelle Smith and Antonio Todd. Smith, a member of the Salida stable, and his promoter, Dimitri Salida, said that he feels that Smith will be a force to be reckoned with in the middleweight division. Smith has been enjoying praise from plenty of boxing legends. Of course, he has the support of Tommy Hearns, who we referenced, and also Christy Martin was ringside for one of his fights, and she said on her own, unprompted, I think this kid's going to be something special.
Yeah, she really likes his talent. And, you know, he's just there at that cusp where we're going to wait to see exactly what he does against the next level of opposition. He passed the test against Townsville, who is a really good fighter on this level, and now we'll see more from him.
And you know, those are those guys, the type of opponents that are going to get him better, like with Townsville. You know, he really has to dig deep, and that's what you want to see in a prospect when he's coming up. Does he have that fire? Does he have that the guts, you know, to survive a fight like that? And he did. And again, Antonio Todd is not an easy opponent, and I think so far he's outboxing him. He's dominating him. He's doing very well in there tonight.
An extremely experienced opponent in Antonio Todd. And this type of opponent is valuable for Smith as well, because as naturally talented as he obviously appears to be, he didn't have a lengthy amateur career. So a lot of these things that he's seeing are things that he's seeing in live action for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, this was the part of the fight where he started to slow down a little bit against Townsville. And, you know, that was his first 8-round fight. So he, you know, he's going to be going into these later rounds continuously in the upcoming fights, and we'll look to see whether he continues this pace.
Triple jab there from Smith. None of that landing, but keeping Todd on the defensive. Now he gets it back on the end of that jab. Nearly lands what looked like was going to be a home run left hook.
The problem for Todd is, you know, he fights like a fighter who's a power puncher. He comes forward, but he's not a power puncher. So his problem is he can land some punches, but he's not the kind of guy that's going to hurt you very often. And he's putting himself in harm's way by being so aggressive.
Yeah, I think, Todd, you're right, Al. He's being a little bit overly aggressive. If you see when he throws his right hand, he kind of lunges in, and I think Davelle Smith has seen that. He's trying to catch him with his counter hook when he's lunging it. He just missed that left hook a while ago that you said, Corey. Had he landed it right, he might have put him to sleep. But yeah, that's what Davelle Smith is trying to capitalize on so far.
It's been the right hand. It's been the money shot for Smith thus far. You see a little bit of swelling underneath and around the left eye of Antonio Todd, right in that laneway that's created for the right hand of Davelle Smith as we head back to the corners. Davelle Smith opening up round 5 there with a nice shot to the body. This one scheduled for 8 as Davelle Smith continues his development.
Got to be a little bit careless there.
And Antonio Todd getting a little bit of confidence here. And development is something that Antonio Todd has either aided or stopped entirely throughout his career. And the question again, and we've got half of a fight left to go here, is what does Antonio Todd have left? Can he pull off another one of those nights that we've seen from him in the past?
Yeah, a lot will depend on whether Smith, you know, has some moments in the second part of this fight like he did against Townsend, where he was less active and faded a little bit. We'll see.
Smith just missed that counter left hook while Todd was lunging in again. He's looking for it. You see, he tries to blind him with the jab. He's waiting for Todd to throw that right hand again.
You can hear Smith's corner telling him, just stay in rhythm. And Raul, that is something that prospects in and around this level, it's something they have to learn in the ring. Oftentimes you'll see prospects who could win a fight by sticking to one particular approach. They start trying things that might not be necessary. You sometimes have to be okay with just sticking to the script and banking these rounds.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, so far I think he's winning all the rounds, and but you know, he's a guy that wants to be learning. He wants to show that he's been improving, and I believe that's why he's trying to set him up. There you see him switching to lefty now, giving him a different look, try to see how Todd reacts to the left-hand precision. Now he's back to right. I'm still looking for that counted right hook. There goes to he goes to the body. See, going up to the uppercut. He still keeps changing the headbutt there, the movement of his combinations.
Yeah, and Raul, do you think that as the success with that left hook to the body starts to pile up, he's landed a bunch of those thus far, does that maybe open up that lane for the left hook up top?
Exactly. He's trying to trick him. You know, he's giving him the hook to the body, make him think I'm coming to the hook to the body again, and then all of a sudden, when he leans in, watch that. Oh, there it goes.
And from both men, and Davelle Smith coming in, maybe looking to grab a hold. Both men landed good right hands, but Todd's might have been better. Closing moments of the round. And indeed, Antonio Todd still has a couple lessons that he can teach the young prospect.
Same time in the fight when William Townsend landed something big against Smith and turned the fight a little bit. this is the time when that right hand landed against Smith. That was one of them that Todd got him in some trouble.
Round 6 underway. Antonio Todd showing signs of life there in the 5th round, and he certainly seems emboldened as he goes right after Davelle Smith here at the beginning of the round. And why not? Why not try and cause a little chaos like this? Making Davelle Smith a little uncomfortable here, Raul.
Yeah, very uncomfortable. But, you know, all Davelle Smith has to do is grab onto him, you know, to stop his momentum. As you see, he kind of stopped now. And get back to the straight jab, straight shots down the middle, set him up.
The one thing about this is the offense, though, from Davelle Smith has mostly stopped. You know, there hasn't been much offense from him here in the last 2 minutes of this, 3 minutes of this fight.
Hustle here on the inside from Antonio Todd, and his corner is telling him, hey, when you get in there, he's not doing anything. I censored that a little bit, but they're being very direct with him.
You're correct. And the that
Another
right
big
hand
right hand
almost
from
did it
Todd.
again. And the body work by Todd is kind of impressive a little bit. Here comes Smith back, finally starting some offense.
And Davelle Smith, at this point, he needs to keep his defense really tight. Guard up. You know, let Todd let off some steam. You know, wear him down a little bit. Nice counter right hand there by Davelle Smith. And again.
Just switching things up there, countering with the right hand, leading with it immediately afterwards. There's the right hand again.
You know, Todd's a whole different fighter. He just threw 3 when he jabs. He threw 2 or 3 jabs, and that's part of the reason why he upset with those right hands. And then when he stops for a while, you know, his offense is more muted.
Listen, there's a reason that Antonio Todd gets the calls from the types of fighters that he does for sparring, from the Tony Harrisons, the Danny Jacobs of the world.
Yeah, he is the perfect guy to bring in, and here he goes with some combinations.
Yeah, Davelle Smith, you know, every time he backs up, he's got to keep that chin tucked in. You know, he's got that tendency that he carries the chin a little bit too high, you know, and that could cause him some problems with the wild shots that Antonio Todd throws. You know, you don't want to get caught with those shots.
We're seeing a little blood coming from the nose of Davelle Smith as well, and that 2-1 from Antonio Todd will intensify that. Antonio Todd, another right hand as the old vet starts to put some rounds in the bank. Two to go here in this contest between Davelle Smith and Antonio Todd that has become increasingly interesting as the rounds have gone on here, Al.
Yeah, and one of the intriguing things is, did Todd win both of the last 2 rounds? In all likelihood, he won one of those 2 for sure. Did he win both? If he won both, it makes it kind of intriguing heading into these last 2 rounds.
Yeah, if that's the case, Raul, then this becomes, the story of the fight becomes, can Davelle Smith stop that snowball from becoming a full-blown avalanche?
Well, right now, so far, like, you know, like you guys said, if Todd did win the last 2 rounds, he definitely has the momentum going. He started off fast in this round. He knows he needs the next 2 rounds. I mean, the fight might be up in the air.
So slapping left hook on the inside there from Todd a moment ago.
And the one thing that, from the standpoint of the Smith folks, the fact that he's had these little fades right in the part of the fight, the 8 rounders where he starts going into the later rounds, is a little problematic for them. And it happened in the Townsend fight, and to some degree, it's happened here.
I think Davelle Smith is he's a little winded. I feel he's a little bit winded. He's not throwing enough punches. He's waiting too much. Still solid jab there by him. He's being very economical with his punches. I like to see him throw more combinations. Punches and bunches, more speed.
Now Smith starting to put them together. 4 straight shots landing there for Davelle Smith. And Raul, the question, when you see prospects who have this type of pattern where maybe they fade a little bit in the later rounds, the question is it physical fatigue or is it mental fatigue? Because by all accounts, Davelle Smith has great training. He's down in South Florida. He's training in the heat. Or is it a combination of both?
I think it's a combination. That's a great question, Corey. I think, every fighter thinks different, but I think it's a combination of both. In his last fight with Council, the same thing happened. He wore down in the second half of the fight. Is he thinking, oh man, I'm already in the second half of the fight. Can I go the next half of the fight and work at the rate like I did the first half? Did he go those extra rounds in the gym, those extra miles to make sure that, hey, I'm ready to go 8 tough, hard rounds? A lot of those things we don't know.
Final 30 seconds here of round 7.
And this is a round in which Smith did well in the beginning part of the round, but then Todd has come back a bit.
Smith had a couple of highlight moments that you were alluding to there, Al, but the latter half of this round, it's looked a lot like Todd chasing him around the ring, so you have to wonder, what are judges seeing right now?
Yeah, very good point.
1 to go in a fascinating battle here between Smith and Todd.
I think this is the last. Yeah. Are you going to go in? So bring it here, I'm going to slide it under that way so the cable stays flat.
Eighth and final round here between Davelle Smith and Antonio Todd, and I don't think it's an unfair question, Al, to ask. Is a draw a possibility here? Is the win for Davelle Smith hanging in the balance?
Yeah, it all depends on how the judges scored these last 3 rounds. I think it's probably likely that Smith won the first 4, but these last 3, you could make a case Todd winning at least 2 of them, maybe 3.
I'll tell you what, if I was in there, I would go for broke in the last round. You don't know what the judges are seeing. I would try to win this last round.
Yeah, 100%. Whichever fighter you are. And I hate to say it, but it's true for Smith as well. They may think he banked enough for those early rounds, but you don't know. And Todd, no quit in him right now.
Nice clubbing right hand there from Todd a moment ago.
And this is a Todd that we haven't seen so much in recent fights, right? This is the guy from several years ago that you knew would come in and give this kind of effort. He's kind of reinventing himself a little bit with this.
And Todd, obviously, to the degree that he's been eroded over time, it's due to strength of schedule.
Right.
Also due to some bad injuries as well, dealing with knee injuries that he's entered fights with. This looks like a healthy and motivated Antonio Todd.
Good point. Yeah, big right hand by Smith, and he needs something like that to alter the way this fight is going right now.
Yeah, Todd looks like he got a second win. If you look at both of the guys' facial expressions, Todd looks like he's trying to win the fight. He's motivated. Davelle Smith looks a little bit worried, a little bit tired. As you see him backing up there with his chin back up in the air. He's got to tuck that chin in.
Closing in on the final minute of this contest as Todd doubles up on the jab.
Yeah. I'll tell you, that is such a good weapon for him when he uses it, and it sets other things up. And the lack of offense by Davelle Smith, for the most part in these last 3 or 4 rounds, is troublesome, I'm sure, to him and his team.
Trade right hands again. That has been a dangerous exchange that we've seen a couple times in this fight. Both men have got the better of it at different times in the fight.
Yeah, precisely. And right now, it's when either man could be tired, one of those could do some damage with just seconds left.
Let's go. Now. 20 seconds left. Come on, let's go.
Final 20 seconds of the contest and what could be a razor-thin fight on the scorecards. One of those fights where one sequence in this final round could alter the outcome.
Nice jab there by Todd. Pushed him back.
Well, if the matchmakers were looking for rounds to give Davelle Smith, for lessons to teach him, they got both here tonight.
Maybe,
what an effort from Antonio Todd.
Yeah, maybe more than they even anticipated. And for Davelle Smith, this fight raised questions.
Regardless of what happens, I'll tell you what, that was definitely I think that was the toughest test so far. Tougher than the last fight.
Tougher than William Townsend.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Townsend had him hurt in that fight.
He did, right.
But he came back toward the end. This one, he didn't really do that. So we'll see. Interesting.
Of course, you always like to read facial expressions, body language in the corners after fights like this, muted on both sides.
Yeah.
Which speaks to perhaps how we've been seeing this fight, that there is some uncertainty about what these cards look like.
Yeah, in the Todd corner, they're muted because they don't know if he's going to get the benefit of the doubt against the young undefeated fighter. And in Smith's corner, they're muted because, something go radically wrong tonight because of those last 4 rounds. So it's intriguing.
Tough fight without mom. Tough fight without mom.
All right, looks like the scorecards are in the ring, so let's send it up to our MC, Mr. Chad Fishburne.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 8 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judge John McKay scores it 78-74. And judges Eric Marlinski and Don Trella have it the same, 77-75. All for your winner by way of unanimous decision, Davelle Smith.
So Davelle Smith had to earn that one. He picks up the unanimous decision victory. You heard the scores, 78-74, 77-75 twice out. That seems like fair scoring.
Yeah, the 77-75 scores seem like they could well be appropriate.
Davelle Smith remains undefeated, now 12-0, as he'll head back to the gym in Detroit, Michigan.
I thought I won the fight, It is what it is, man. So big.